Hello and welcome to another instalment of the Matchbook Racing Review with me, Tom Stanley, and with Don McLean. And we're going to reflect on what has been another busy week in the world of horse racing. But we're flat through and through, and we're talking about the next classics, which are going to come up at Epsom with regard to the mile and a halfers. Certainly, I know we've got Irish Guineas in the sort before them, but we're very much in middle distance mode, given all the trials that we've seen of late, Don. And Aidan O'Brien, it seems silly to say, but unsurprisingly, he's got a strong hand in this sort of division, Dom.
Yeah, exactly. Newsflash, Tom. Aidan O'Brien has a strong hand in Derby. No, he's had an unbelievable time. Like all the trials, I'm sure we'll go through them now one by one. But the horses that he's including the surprise package of the season so far, who's now Derby favourite. So
well,
yeah, no.
That's a perfect link into this horse, Dragonet, the sleeper at home. Normally, they've got quite a good handle on what they've got at home, but it seems this horse, he's surprised everyone. He's won the Chester Vase, and he's not just won it, he's absolutely trounced the field. He switched off early. Donn O'Brien produced him with a huge amount of confidence, and amazingly afterwards, Don, he said that he could have called him the winner half a mile from home, which in that sort of field, I think is quite something to say, and it just shows how good he is, but you often get a good gauge from a jockey after the race. And Donica, who sits on good horses all the time, I mean, he was clearly taken aback by that performance, I thought.
He was, yeah. No, I thought Donn O'Brien's interview on Racing TV was quite enlightening, actually. The fact that, as you say, he said that he knew he would win 3 or 4 furlongs out. He just wanted to get the horse switched off. It was only his second run ever. He'd only made his racecourse debut about 2.5 weeks earlier. And he just let them off up front. And then when he asked him to pick up, he picked up really impressively. And, you know, he's a horse, as you say, he's a sleeper. Like, he was a 14-1 shot when he made his debut in that maiden at Tipperary a couple of weeks ago. And he was a bigger price than his stable companion Norway for the Chester Vase there on Wednesday. But he just did it so easily. And then afterwards, the bookmakers kind of went, I think they went about 7 or 8 to 1, and then 6 to 1. 5 to 1, 4 to 1.
Oh, 3.
Yeah.
2 now in Matchbook.
4.2, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
And that could change depending on what happens in what looks to be a fascinating renewal of the Dante, possibly Japan there, and Too Darn Hot, which is going to be fascinating. Not sure where I stand with him as a Derby horse necessarily, but he heads that betting, Sir Dragonet. He's got he's got a rock solid profile as far as pedigree goes. He's a Camelot who we're gradually learning more and more about as a sire, a Derby winner himself. He's out of an Oasis Dream mare, which says a bit of speed, but then she's from the family of a certain Galileo and See the Stars. So look, he looks all out and out stamina, doesn't he? So he's already stayed that trip, we know now. A few people saying afterwards, well, I wonder if he's more a ledger horse, but to be able to ping clear as well in the way he did, the manner that he did in that very short Chester Straight, he's got to have a bit of speed as well.
Yeah, I thought he showed pace. I mean, you know, I know they probably went fast enough up front, and the ground was quite soft, but he showed pace at Tipperary as well when he won. He showed pace again in the Chester Vase, and it's a tight track. He handled it well. He came clear of his rivals. Donn O'Brien, obviously, as he said afterwards, he was confident on him throughout that he was traveling like whatever field. I mean, Donn O'Brien has ridden enough top class horses to know the feel that he's giving him, and obviously he was giving him a great feel if he thought he was going to win 3 or 4 furlongs out. So yeah, and then that was only his second ever run, so he'll probably improve again on that. We know he stays, and it's not the case anymore that if you know they stay, they're not fast enough, because we have mile and a half trial winners winning the Derby. And yeah, and he's got the breeding and a little bit of Oasis Dream in there, as you said, for speed. No, he's got all the armory. And interesting that what Donegal again was saying afterwards, he doesn't do an awful lot at home. He was saying these top class horses, they can kind of just do just what they need to do at home and save it for the track. And he's got the latent talent there in his pedigree to go and do it on the track. And he could be. Like, I'm not surprised that he's Derby favourite. I think it's right, given, like, I actually started taking a note on him and saying it could be a bit of a Derby horse, you know, a little bit under the radar. Now he's Derby favourite, and the note is obsolete. So yeah, I think he could be very good. I think he deserves his place at the top of the market.
Oh, I agree. I did think we'll move on to Circus Maximus, who won the D Stakes, which Aidan, I don't think, has won with a subsequent Derby winner before, but Cliffs of Moher went close, and 99 saw the subsequent winner, and Chris Kin did it as well. So it has produced Derby winners, and I thought that Circus Maximus didn't quite get the credit he deserved. 17.0 for a Derby would make more appeal to me. as purely because I prefer bigger prices anyway. But I thought he was good. He was professional. He almost wasn't. Almost he's less sexy, if you like, because I thought he just did what he had to. He got a confident ride from Ryan Moore, who was never too far away. He switched off. He forced him into the lead, just turning for home, and he quickened quite nicely. He's a son of Galileo. He's got form with all the right horses, the likes of Magna Grecia, who I think was too quick for him at Doncaster, and Persian King prior to that as well. So that's form that's worked out very strongly. He looks set to get an extra couple of furlongs, and he'll improve for his first start of the season. So I was quite taken with him, to be honest, for all that he's fourth in of the recent trial winners in the betting.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And, like with the Derby, we don't really know. And maybe, I'm sure Ballydoyle don't know for sure what the pecking order is. For the Derby, I think it's a wee bit different for the Guineas because it's more of a test of pace over a mile, and at home, if they're going to be shown pace. But over a mile and a half, they're obviously never going to be tried over anything like that trip at home. So what they're doing on the racecourse, that's as far as they've gone. And, even at home, they won't have gone that far. So how a horse performs over a mile and a half, they don't know at home how they're going to perform over a mile and a half. And Circus Maximus, he absolutely deserves his place in the Derby. He stepped up really impressively on what he'd done before. That was over 10.5 furlongs, the first time he's ever gone beyond a mile. And as you say, his form last year as a juvenile is very, very good. He wasn't beaten far by Magna Grecia in the Burton Futurity Trophy. And then even before
that's the one that Aidan still calls a racing post.
The racing post
we
trophy.
We all do. Burton Futurity. Thank you, John Donn, for that. Yes, exactly.
And then his form of the Autumn Stakes with Persian King won and Magna Grecia was second. He was third. Obviously, that's even stronger now since Sunday and since the Guineas. So, no, he's got an awful lot in his favour, and he's out of Duntle. David Watchman trained her to wins the Forest at Royal Ascot, so he's got the pedigree, and by Galileo, plenty to like and deserves his place there. And there is an argument, as you say, that he could be overpriced.
Well, yeah, and look, they don't always, with regard to these the mile and a half horses, you don't know who's going to improve at what time. I think he's certainly going to get the trip. We saw Broome win the Derrinstown, having won the Ballysacks. You had to be impressed again, although perhaps not visually quite as impressive. My slight niggle with him is he definitely looks like he wants further now, I think it's fair to say. He was off the bridle again. You saw Ryan, when you rode him in the Ballysacks, really trying to keep him on the bridle as for as long as possible. But when they quickened at one point at the weekend, he was definitely off it. He then picked it up again and he won very cosily. But I don't know, you'd have to... I'd want him to go through a race better than that at Epsom to go on and win a Derby. For all... He has been very impressive in 2 starts, and I would have no worries about him getting a little bit further.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Like, that was 10 furlongs or 10.5 furlongs or 10 furlongs dead. And he's stayed it really well. And the Derrinstown Stud Derby trial yesterday was run similarly to how the Ballysack Stakes was run. In the Ballysack Stakes, it was Guaranteed and Sovereign, his stable companion Sovereign, who went on and set a really fast pace down the back straight. They were stretched out, I'd say he was about 12 or 14 lengths behind the leaders going down the back straight in the Ballysacks. And it was a similar story yesterday. It was Blenheim Palace and Sovereign who led yesterday. And I'd say Donnacha O'Brien was going as fast as he wanted to go down the back straight. He probably travelling within himself and allowed the leaders get on with it. But the fast pace really suited him. And I thought he did well, actually, yesterday, Tom. While, as you say, visually he wasn't as impressive as he was in the Ballysack Stakes. He won by 8 lengths and he really soared clear inside the final furlong. I think, the pace kind of collapsed a little in the Ballysacks. Guaranteed, who led early, he dropped out the back. And obviously, Sovereign actually did very well to finish second in the Ballysacks, having shared the lead. But Broome just went by him and went away from him. Whereas yesterday, I thought he had to work a wee bit harder to get into the race. The pace maybe didn't collapse as much as it did in the Ballysacks. It didn't collapse at all because the leader, Blenheim Palace and Sovereign, the 2 leaders finished second and third behind him. So he was the only one who was able to come from the back and get into it and go on and win his race. I thought it was a good performance by him, and I'm sure the figures would suggest it maybe wasn't as good a performance as the Ballysack Stakes win was. But I thought the way the race was run, I thought that he did very well to get there and get there as well as he did. And as you say, stepping up from 10 furlongs to 12, that's only going to see him improve, isn't it? Round
about 8.0. So third in, really, behind Anthony Van Dyke. This is of all the key trial winners for Aidan O'Brien. Anthony Van Dyke, who I was quite impressed with, son of Galileo. Broome's an Australia. who, of course, we're learning about with regards to his 3-year-olds, but they seem to want to stay and stay all day as well. First couple of 3-year-olds this season. Galileo we know all about, and Anthony Van Dyke went. I thought he went through the race like the horse that he promised to be last year. He quickened nicely, and then I'm sure he's going to improve for it. I thought the field was actually stronger than it has been in recent years. I quite like some of the horses against him and behind. I took the view he might need the race and therefore he might get beaten on the back of that. But he won very easily. I think he was the standout potential staying juvenile of last year for them, and he's probably living up to that. But they've been caught out. They've been surprised as a result. I'm probably doing Japan perhaps a slight disservice by saying that, but they've been surprised by Sir Dragonet. So he now isn't right at the top of that pecking order, certainly not as far as the betting goes. But I thought there was a lot to like about his performance. And if, as promised, he's going to come on, I mean, they didn't have him quite ready for this. He's going to come on as expected, then he's going to definitely show up at Epsom and be a live candidate.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about him, Tom. Like, last year he was one of their leading juveniles. He was only just beaten in the national stakes by Corto, and he wasn't that far behind him in the betting. I think he was only marginally behind him in the betting. Maybe he was in the Jura Stakes, he was pretty well beaten by Too Darn Hot, for all that he finished third. Maybe that was a wee bit disappointing, and then you can obviously easily allow a horse a poor run in the Breeders' Cup. But no, it was a really good step back from him, because they said afterwards that they expected that he would come on for it. He was weak in the market beforehand as well. He drifted, and given all of that, yeah, I like you, I was impressed with how he did it, and he did it very well. And Lingfield is as we know, very similar to Epsom. It's down a hill and around a bend, around a left-handed bend into the home straight. I know the ground was soft on Saturday, so it may not have been a simulation for Epsom on good ground that it can be on better ground. But at the same time, he handled it well, and he stayed on well, and he was impressive in winning it. And he's going to come on from that. We know that he stays the trip. That was 1.5 miles. He's got the pedigree. He's got the back juvenile form as well. Like, he's a Group 2 winner last year as a juvenile. He won the Futurity Stakes at the Curragh. And yeah, an awful lot to like about it. What price is he?
Anthony Van Dyke is 7.0.
Yeah,
a point shorter than Broome. If I had to back one, it would be Anthony Van Dyke or Circus Maximus, and it'd probably be the latter. Yes, because he's the biggest price. But if I just watched that race and hadn't, his price has to be conditioned by what the other Aidan O'Brien horses have done. And if we take the rest of them out of it, I thought he shaped like a horse who's going to go on and have a better than a 17.0 chance in a derby, if you like. For all he is that price against his stable companions for a reason. Be interested to see what the jockeys do.
No, it will be fascinating, and I know that the Ballydoyle, their stranglehold of the Derby just gets stronger and stronger, and Aidan O'Brien trains them for, the Derby is obviously a massive goal for them, and they do so well in it. But yeah, like it's hard to argue. Like, Circus Maximus, he's twice the price of besides Sir Dragonet, he's twice the price of Broome and Anthony Van Dyke. It's difficult to argue that his chance of winning the Derby is half the chance of Broome or that chance of Anthony Van Dyke, isn't it? Like, if you had to back one, Don, I'm gonna. Had to go for one this right now at the prices they are: 4.2 Sir Dragonet, Anthony Van Dyke 7, Broome 8.0, Circus Maximus 17.0. If you had to back one of them now, which one do you think it would be? I think with no prices in it, Sir Dragonet for sure. I just think he's got everything. But at the prices, I don't think, I agree, I don't think Circus Maximus should be twice the price of Anthony Van Dyke or Broome, and what's he, 5 times the price of Sir Dragonet. It's a big price.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I agree. Dangerous. You mentioned Persian King, so let's just tick that box and get that done. Won the French Guineas, the French 2000 Guineas. He is physically. I remember seeing him at Newmarket last year and thinking he's going to make a lovely 3-year-old. Goodness me, he's a big lad, And it's his lung capacity. The front of that horse is huge, and in comparison to some of the others. And you could see that visually in the race yesterday. I wasn't there. I think he'll get 10. I don't think he'll get further than that. But he is such a physical specimen. I think Andre Fabre referred to him as a Cheltenham type, which I appreciated very much.
Did he? I didn't know that. I didn't hear him say that.
He did. I think that he could be a candidate for the top races over 10, a Champion Stakes and the like, or whichever way he goes. Don't think he'll get further than that. He'll go Prix du Jockey Club, And then I'd love to see him come over to this side of the channel and try and win something over 10. But I think he is a proper animal. I loved his performance.
Oh, yeah, well, was he that impressive yesterday? Like I watched it on a screen at Leopardstown. I've only seen it once. I just saw it live, and I haven't seen a replay yet. But just watching it the first time, and maybe I expected more from him. Was he that impressive? Because he was drawn well, and he got the run of the race. He made the cutaway, made his ground on the far side, and went and won it.
He didn't win like a 2's-on shot necessarily. You'd expect them to, but I just think physically there is going to be so much more to come from him, and the heavy ground definitely wasn't in his favour. For all good horses win on any ground, which he did, but a sounder surface is going to see him to better effect. Kingman handed a fair bit of cut as well, I know, but I think sound surface over 10 will be ideal. There's a lot of views out there saying out and out miler. I don't know. His pedigree suggests, there's on his dam side, there's stamina in there, and we know Kingman was a miler, but I think 10 is going to be a 10 decent ground. I think he will be very, very difficult to beat. But 2 Donn Hot might have something to say about that, I know. But where we are at the moment with this horse, he's very exciting.
So what's the plan from that Prix du Jockey Club, I guess?
Prix du Jockey Club, 100%.
Yeah,
and they've always said that. And then I'd love to see him come over and for a champion or something over here. But it depends on what the conditions are going to be. I think 10 on heavy might be difficult, and I don't think he'd get 1.5 miles, personally.
Yeah.
I'd love it to be my decision, but it's not. There you go. What about the Oaks? We learned plenty about that. Let's kick off with Lingfield. Anna Perner. She's a daughter of Frankel, one of 2 daughters of Frankel for John Gosden, who was very impressive over the last 7 days. She's around about 9.0. She won pretty easy under Frankie Dettori. We know now she gets the trip, and she's almost certain to go there. Personally, I'd be more excited, and the market reflects that, about Medayer, who won the Cheshire Oaks, a race that John Gosden won a few years ago with a Enable, who subsequently went on to win the Oaks. I was more impressed with her for all he's got 2 exciting daughters of Frankel who were shaking up the Oaks market. Yeah,
no, she was impressive. She's not in the Oaks, isn't she? Like, but you'd be amazed. She's got to be okay. Yeah, no, she was very impressive, and the ground was soft at Chester on the day. Which maybe accentuated her superiority a little bit, but no, she did it very, very well. And to step up like that, like for a filly, obviously she's again another filly who's improved an awful lot at home, isn't she? Because the fact that she didn't hold an Oaks entry running in the Cheshire Oaks, that's kind of surprising that she didn't. And there's precedent there as well, isn't there? She's had stable companions who've trod a similar route.
And not just that, the only other 2 winners of that race in the last 15 years that had won as a juvenile were Enable and Light Shift, and both went on to win the Oaks. So I think, and we know how much stamina Frankel puts into them, but I think to have even been winning as a juvenile, which came ahead of a certain Maxad in form that's working out very well, I think they will supplement her. And of all the performers we saw shake up that Oaks market, she'd be the one I'd want to be on. Around about 7.0. I was really, the way she went through the race, and then Rab Havlin just angered her out and said, go on then, and off she, and you've got to show that toe. You can't just be a grinder to win a derby. Well, not normally. You've got to have that. Who was that son of Paul Moir that won a couple of years ago under Mr. Beggy? That looked an out-and-out grinder. But normally...
Wings of Zara, yeah.
Wings
of Eagles, yeah.
Wings of Eagles. But you tend to want to have... she showed a bit of toe. We know she stays. Goodness, I was taken with her.
Do you read anything into the fact that Frankie Dettori rode Fanny Logan instead?
Well, they were very close in the betting, weren't they? Maybe, but you don't. She still went off favourite, this filly.
Yeah, she did.
Havlin had ridden her prior, hadn't he, in the race that she'd won as a juvenile. So, no, not necessarily. I don't think you can read too much into it. I wonder what will happen at Epsom. And also, John Gosden's got the favourite for the Musidora. So, I mean, he is well represented. So we don't know what's going to happen with that filly necessarily. The other thing that happened was we saw Dermot Weld's Tonorwa, who's around about 26.0. She won the Blue Wind. Correct me if I'm getting the names of any of these wrong, Don.
Right, yeah.
And Frank, the Pink Dogwood form. And I know you were very taken with Pink Dogwood. She's now 5.3, and that form was taking a boost, and she's entitled to come on for that as well. So while Tonorwa, a race that Dermot Weld had won a few years ago with a subsequent filly who went on to finish second to De Gruder in the Oaks, I think that might be where she goes. But what she did for me was Frank, that Pink Dogwood form.
Yeah, I was impressed with Tonorwa. Like, who's Steph, who she battled on really well to beat her, and she's a high class older filly of Jerry Lyons's, and maybe Who's Steph might have been a wee bit better on easier ground, but she's very good on good ground, and she got out in front and looked a winner. But Tanawa was she dug deep, and I thought she did well to catch her and pass her, and like she's improved again. Like she wasn't beaten far by Pink Dogwood in that Navan race, in the listed race, I think it was the Salsable Stakes.
And she'd had a run, hadn't she, already prior to that? So I went back and looked at that and thought, I wonder if she was unlucky. I couldn't really find a reason why Pink Dogwood wouldn't confirm that form again, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. I think Tanawa might have stepped forward again in winning the Blue Wind, and Dermot he trained Blue Wind, so he's got a big affinity with the race. And you mentioned the horse that he's won it with in the past. He won it with Princess Highway. I think she won a Ribblesdale. Tarfasha, the filly you mentioned, who she won a Blandford Stakes and finished second behind Tagruda in the Oaks. I was checking back there yesterday. She actually started at a shorter price than Tagruda for the Oaks. They're both Sheikh Hamdan fillies. And he won it with Sukova as well, who's she didn't run in an Oaks, but she was
older though. She was 4, wasn't she, when she won it? I think.
Yeah, she was 4 when she won it. Yeah. She went on to win the Man of War Stakes in America. But yeah, he's got a good history of winning it with good fillies who've gone on again and progressed again. Like she was a likely race 4-year-old. So Tanawa, while she has to improve to get up to Pink Dogwood by only about 2 lengths, as you say, that was her second run, whereas Pink Dogwood was making a season debut, I think. She's a progressive filly, and like she's not confirmed for the Oaks yet, and it may be that she could go maybe Ribblesdale, Irish Oaks, maybe something like that. But at the same time, she's entered in the Oaks, and it wouldn't be surprising at all to see her take a chance. She's a big enough price.
Yeah, I think Tarfasha, which is great you remembered her name because I'd forgotten it, Don. But Tarfasha, I think because they went that route with her, I think they might well go this way with Tanawa. And she did see it out really well, didn't she? A mile and a half, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But I think you could say the same about Pink Dogwood. I'm scrambling to try and remember the sire of Pink Dogwood, but I think she looks like she'll definitely stay, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, no, she'll stay all right. And like she was put in she was favourite for the Oaks even before she made her debut this year, which obviously she's very highly regarded, but she was a short price favourite for that Salsable Stakes. So she just, I suppose, confirmed the expectation of her and the regard in which she's held. So, and she'll probably come forward from that as well from her seasonal debut.
I was personally Medei. I was really impressed with and really taken with, and I haven't had a bet. If I had to stump up some cash for one of them, probably be her at this stage. You're still quite sweet on Pink Dogwood, aren't you?
Nah, like I think she's probably a short enough price actually for the Oaks. No, I was impressed with Tanawa. I think she could step forward again, and she wouldn't need to step forward a lot to put her into the Oaks picture, I think.
26.0 is Tana. Well, we've done Persian King. A few other bits of fallout from Chester. For all, we don't need to dwell on it. It was great for Franny Norton to get his first Chester Cup, and amazing that was his first. He rode brilliantly on that day. He calls it his playground for a reason, and I thought that was great to see. For all, the conditions were brutal.
Were they? Yeah.
My goodness me, and
again, when Chester gets, I've been there when it was wet, and it gets wet, doesn't it? There's nowhere to go.
It just didn't stop. Personally, I wasn't there.
Oh yeah.
But in a way, I was quite happy about that because it looked absolutely brutal. For it's a fantastic meeting.
But some like on Franny Norton at Chester, like he just knows it, loves it. Got the horse out making miracles out from stall 16 from the outside. Went over, stacked them up, held up, turned for on a horse who was drawn poorly and whose stamina wasn't proven. He rode an unbelievable race, didn't he? It
was a very, very good ride. I mean, I don't think a stall that wide has ever won it, or certainly not in recent times. And I'd sort of almost put a line through it on that. I just didn't think he'd be able to get over, but he did, and he wins for fun over there. And he won on a horse previously from off the pace as well, so he's a genius. The most taking handicapping win on Friday afternoon for me was a horse called A Wee Dram, who won at Ascot, who I think is a proper horse. He's a potential Britannia horse. He's 2 from 2 since being gelded in handicaps now for Alan King. He won at Newmarket at the Craven meeting. He came on to win at Ascot over the same course and distance which the Britannia has run over. He's rated 85. Now, he'd want to go up £5. to even get into the Britannia. He should do, for all he doesn't do a bit when he hits the front, and he doesn't win by much. But I quite like that about him. He was very keen early in the race, and then I still thought he won with a little bit in hand from an Andrew Balding improver who'd romped home last time out. I think the form is strong, and I think he's a very interesting candidate if and when he shows up in a Britannia. For all if he goes up 5, he gets up 90, which has been bottom weight both times in the last 2 renewals of Britannia. So you want to go up maybe 6 to be sure of a run, but keep an eye on a wee Dram. He's an obvious one because he's been winning, but not by a huge amount. I think he's a really, really good horse, and he's got a big handicap in him.
Just to mention one in the Victoria Cup, Blue Mist. I thought he ran a better than his finishing position suggests. He's lightly raced horse. He's progressive going into it, like the winner actually. But he kind of had to do a lot of racing on the near side just to get into it, and I thought he stayed on well. And then his run he had to do a lot of running, and then his run kind of flattened out. So maybe he's probably one to take from the Victoria Cup. I'm sure there are plenty, but he's one.
There's always loads in there, isn't there, who don't quite get a run. I take the point as well. You didn't really want to be too much on a wing on that occasion. I don't think.
No, it developed in the centre, kind of away from him.
Yeah, Blue Mist ran well in that. Poor old Kinran. He's I don't know what he's got to do to win a race.
I stopped backing him now.
Get out.
I'd say I've backed him probably 4 times, definitely 3, probably 4, and I didn't back him on Saturday. And I thought this is the day he's going to go and do it. And in a way, I was kind of hoping he would. In another way, I was kind of hoping he wouldn't, though.
I'm with you. I know what that feels like.
He ran another brilliant race, didn't he?
And then a couple of 2-year-olds we're going to flag out. I'll kick. Very quick. She is very quick. Razina Bashara won that race before. Bashara, I think, went on to finish 2nd in an Albany in Illuminate's year. And I wonder what final song will do. I wonder if she's a Queen Mary type. She was quick. But I loved what she did. She won by officially 5 lengths. It was 6.5. If you go back and watch it. I don't know where that winning distance came from. There were a few on the day as well. She won by more than 5 lengths. Definitely. So I was taken with that, and is also related to Rara, who was very quick as well. I think she's probably a 5 furlong one. She's bred for speed. Right. And Siskin, you were going to flag up.
Yeah, Siskin. No, he was very good. I know you liked him as well. He was very good in winning the maiden or the 6 furlong race at Naas. Yeah, like he was strong in the market beforehand, and he just picked up well. And Harpocrates, who was 2nd, he's a well-regarded horse of Aidan O'Brien's. Red Epaulet, who was 3rd, Michael O'Callaghan's horse. He won the first juveniles maiden of the season. And Siskin, he just went and did it really professionally. First time out on a racecourse debut for Ger Lyons. You'd kind of say Coventry Stakes would be the race for him at Royal Ascot. Like he definitely that performance earned him his place in the Coventry Stakes lineup. Just Ger Lyons, he's not one to necessarily go to Royal Ascot just because it's the thing to do. He's very careful, and he doesn't want to go to Royal Ascot generally unless he's a horse who really has a chance of winning. There's no point in just going for a day out. But yeah, if Siskin, you'd imagine the Coventry would be the automatic race for him. 6 furlongs should be perfect. That was the same trip as
it would definitely get further than that in time as well. The way he won at 6 last time, and I think a Coventry might suit actually. Just sat off them and the stiff 6 at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They get further.
Yeah.
I thought he was really, really good, Siskin, and is another exciting one. I think that's about it, Don. We haven't missed anything. We probably have, but there's so much racing in there.
Yeah.
You're hopping on a plane coming over to these shores, aren't you?
Coming over to Ealing, for Tuesday and Wednesday. So looking forward to that, lads. Where are you the next couple of days? You're up north, are you?
We will be relaying on Wednesday in the Racing TV studio. We'll be high-fiving as I leave and you come in, I think. And then I go off to York for the Dante, and for on Friday, really looking forward to the Matchbook Yorkshire Cup, which would be fantastic. And hopefully we're going to see Stradivarius back, and really looking forward to that contest. I think that division could have a bit of depth to it this year. I'm interested to see what comes out and tries to take on Stradivarius, or whether or not he's going to go 5 races unbeaten. We'll see. Don, lovely. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Tom.
I will see you anon this week. Looking forward to it very much. Thanks to those of you at home for watching this, and enjoy York this week. We're going to learn plenty And we look forward to chatting to you again, same sort of time next week. Bye for now.